"7:21 right now. Today is a day of Thanksgiving, certainly, but as Kathy Lee Johnson tells us, it's also a day of sharing.
The early Thanksgivings were a way of giving thanks to God for the bountiful crops, food that would be on the table throughout the year. We still give thanks today, but for many millions of Americans, men, women, and children, they have very little reason to be grateful today. They are America's hungry. Fortunately, there are also individuals and organizations who want to share out of their abundance and feed America's hungry. Here at the Times Square Hotel in New York City, about 300 people who would otherwise go hungry will have a Thanksgiving dinner. A nonprofit organization provides these disabled tenants with social services throughout the year and makes a special effort at holiday times.
We're dealing mostly with a population that is alone. Okay, that's what I have to say, that is alone. And when something like this comes up, it puts them in a situation where they do intermingle with others, and they have a feeling, just a sense of belonging, of just belonging.
In Los Angeles, over 75 needy and disabled people in the inner city will enjoy Thanksgiving this year because of a unique self-supportive group. The members are asked to contribute $15 per month to a fund from which food is bought from major meat companies and produce markets at cost. Perhaps the best news about this group is that the people have found a way to rely on themselves and each other for support without help from outside agencies. Each day, more than 450 men, women, and children come through the gates at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Atlanta, Georgia, to eat at its soup kitchen. Volunteers from 27 churches in the area have donated their time. They've made a hot meal for the needy 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year, for nearly 10 years.
The clientele has changed in that the main people used to be basic street people. People now are families, persons who have held at one time white-collar jobs, who have lost them because of economic conditions, cutbacks, etc. And as a result, our clientele has changed.
Few would expect a free meal at one of the finer restaurants in Chicago, but every Thanksgiving for the last 8 years, the owner of the French Port has given out thousands of free dinners to the poor. In 1967, Ismet Deletioglu jumped a commercial freighter he was on from his homeland Turkey. He started a new life in the United States and opened a successful restaurant here. For him, Thanksgiving is an opportunity to share his good fortune with the less fortunate.
And they have the smile on their face and the tear in their eyes, and everybody with deep down smile with good feeling. To me, that the feeling, while I get it, no money on earth can buy it.
Thank you, Kathy Lee. It's 24 minutes after 7, and certainly not everybody is going to be able to sit down today to a big Thanksgiving dinner at home or with family. There are many people across the country who are hungry these days, and the National Commander of the Salvation Army will be with us in a little while. There might be something you can do, each and every one of us can do, to help.
Those in need of companionship on the north side has been the French Port restaurant. However, this year's food and clothing giveaway was different because of who welcomed most of these people inside.
How are you? Good morning, sir. How are you? Good to see you. Have a good day. Shalom.
Mayor Washington was here because of the man who owns the restaurant. Turkish immigrant Ismet Deletioglu sponsors the free Thanksgiving banquet because he says he wants to give something back to the country that gave him a start 16 years ago. The mayor called him a first-rate citizen for feeding those who might have a lonely dinner or no dinner at all. He then presented him with a plaque.
It's clear that Matt Deletioglu, a prominent businessman who annually puts on these dinners for destitute people, is a worthy citizen. In the days of extreme poverty, 800,000 people in this city are on the poverty line today, almost a third of the people. In those days, you need individuals like this who have a deep humanitarian sense, who love their city, who are concerned about their city, and they must step forward.
Thank the United States and the people in the city of Chicago. And first time somebody coming from the city of Chicago, first met, and God bless you, and God bless all the world.
When this Northside establishment started serving free Thanksgiving food 8 years ago, this kitchen fed about 200 people, and those who helped cook the meal were paid for their services. Today, those who work in the kitchen are volunteers, but the turkey, giblet gravy, and the rest of the meal is still financed by the owner. Food contributions are not accepted. However, local merchants do donate clothing. And for the 1,600 who wait in line, many say the attraction is more than just a free meal.
It shows how man has a heart and humanity for his people. He's not worrying about the buckets. Of course, I'm about to put it out.
I think the fact that he is from Turkey, that it's a way of his gratitude. The living conditions in Turkey, there's so much that we take for granted being born in America, that this is his way of showing his appreciation, expressing the spirit of love and Thanksgiving.
I think it's a grand gesture. Because I was at a meeting and they told us about it Friday. I had never heard about it before. And I think it's wonderful for the man to open up his doors for this many people.
When Mayor Washington was a U.S. representative, he recognized the owner of the French Port before the United States Congress as a first-rate humanitarian. And for those who left this afternoon with a full stomach and new clothing in hand, civic pride, they say, is more than just traditional rhetoric. Art Norman, Channel 5 News.
Chicago's Roman Catholic Archbishop Joseph Cardinal Bernardine celebrated Thanksgiving in the suburbs and in the city. Here's a report from Peter Nolan.
Good morning, Your Eminence. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Delighted to have you here. Good morning. How are you? Stay right.
Joseph Cardinal Bernardine began Thanksgiving Day by celebrating Mass at Saints Faith, Hope, and Charity Church in suburban Winnetka. The church was crowded with parishioners who are celebrating the 47th anniversary of the founding of their parish.
In order to do that, 2,000 pounds of turkey was ordered, along with 500 pounds of potatoes and 50 gallons of gravy. And with all the turkeys cooking all around Chicagoland today, there are bound to be some problems for beginning cooks. What to do? Turkey Hotline to the rescue.
Good morning, Butterball Turkey Hotline. Can I help you?
12 pounds. All right, are you going to stuff it?
You would cook 2 14-pound turkeys in a 325-degree oven, the same as you would cook 1 14-pound turkey.
40 cooking experts took questions ranging from the truck driver who wanted to cook a turkey on his truck's manifold to the man who wanted to soak his turkey in beer. The Turkey Hotline will be available until Christmas at 1-800-323-4848.
No need for tips like that at the next place we're going to. The most crowded place for a free dinner at this hour is a popular North Side restaurant where the owner has established an annual tradition of generosity. Jack Jones is at the French Port, where people are still lined up for turkey. Jack?
Well, Dick, although the owner of the French Port restaurant really doesn't want the publicity, the cameras and the lights are here every year because it's one of those nice stories that takes your mind off all the bad news. By this time, it is a Chicago tradition. Every Thanksgiving for the past 8, the lines have formed outside of the French Port restaurant on North Clark Street for the free Thanksgiving meal. The lines formed early today in freezing temperatures. Those who are hungry and those who wanted to praise the man who feeds the hungry.
It's worth coming out here in the cold to support someone who is charitable enough to remember people on a day like today.
The man who prepares the meal is 40-year-old Ismet Delatiaglu, born in Ankara, Turkey, who himself is thankful to be in America.
And thank you for all the people in the United States who open our hand to give me the opportunity, and the 1,000 people before who's come before me. But I know hide up, I get up from underneath the crowd and I do something, and please do something for others.
Beside him this day is the first citizen of Chicago who is grateful for people like Ismet.
It is people like this who have, I think, kept the spirit alive in Chicago, and we want to keep it alive. And not only has Mr. Delatiaglu provided food for so many of his neighbors here, he's also gone to other extremes and tried to provide some comfort in their day-to-day activities.
And finally, after the prayers and the praise, the food is served, the traditional menu, turkey and all that goes with it. And so far, some 1,100 people have been served at this restaurant that sit down and carry out, and that translates into 1,200 pounds of turkey, 800 pounds of potatoes, 100 gallons of milk, 20 of those big cans of cranberry sauce, and the atmosphere at this place really puts you in the Thanksgiving spirit. Happy Thanksgiving, you two.
Thanks for sharing it with us, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Port restaurant long before the doors were scheduled to open. The owner, Ismet Delatiaglu, is celebrating Thanksgiving for the 8th consecutive year with those who are less fortunate. The Thanksgiving Day feast at the French Port has gotten bigger and bigger, each year drawing larger and larger crowds. This year, even the mayor stopped by. Mayor Harold Washington stopped by to officially thank Ishmet, saying that his generosity was most gracious.
I call to the attention of my colleagues and the American people the continuing story of a businessman who represents the best example of what his country has to offer. I speak of Mr. Delateglu, who has combined industriousness with selflessness, humanitarianism, and a genuine concern for the poor.
Meanwhile, outside the door, the line grew and grew. Those waiting to get in had to stand in 30-degree weather, but for some, it was all that they had, and they appreciated what their benefactor was doing.
I think that he is one in a million. There are a lot of people who would like to do the same thing and can't really afford to do it. But it's really fantastic when a person in a position to do these things will open up their heart and help people out.
While the hungry waited outside, volunteers worked in the kitchen to prepare the food. Turkey, of course, with all the trimmings, fresh bread and butter, pecan pie, a real feast. Ishmet had a rough time when he came to this country years ago, and now he says this is his way of returning many favors.
The people in the United States, they give me the opportunity, and they open the hand for me. So I should forget it. I should never forget it. People, they should never forget it. Where I come from, I'd be thankful I'm a success now. Like I should forget it? No.
And that's why you do this every year?
Every year.